Hi, third graders. Welcome to your Friday language arts lesson. Today, you are going to need a pencil, two different color highlighters. Now, if you don't have highlighters at your home, that's okay. You can get a color pencil, and you need your LA workbook. Okay, pause the video now. Make sure you have these materials. We are going to check our homework from Tuesday. Now, on Tuesday, I gave you the homework assignment to do grammar, page 12 and page 14. We are going to check those next. So if you forgot to do them or you haven't done them yet, I want you to pause the video right now. Go do those workbook pages. Just do your best. Even if you make mistakes, it's okay. Then come back to this video and let's check together. After that, we're going to talk about our genre, and then we're going to have a fun writing assignment. Okay, let's get started. We are going to check grammar page 12 first. So open your workbook to grammar page 12. Make sure you did it before you check your answers. All right, you are supposed to put a check mark next to the compound subject and then write it on the line. Now remember, compound means more than one. So, number one, Jane and Leah, almost said Lisa. Jane and Leah is a compound subject. Number two, Carlos and Shane. Now, number three, the subject is the sun, but that's not a compound subject. The sun is only one. Number four, Coach Tate and Chris. Number five is just Mrs. Chan. Number six, the Smith twins. Number seven, many birds and squirrels. It's compound, put a check, and then write it on the line. Let me move my video. Okay. Number eight, there's only one subject. Number nine, the adults and children. And number 10, a cold rain. So you only put a check and write the compound subjects on the line. Now, let me move my video. Okay. If you made a mistake, it's okay. We're just practicing. Pause your video now, carefully check your work, and make sure that your workbook looks like mine. Okay, let's go to the next video. The next page. Okay, underline the complete subject in each sentence. For sentence fragments, you need to add a subject. Then write the sentence correctly. Use capital letters and end marks. Make sure, guys, when you turn in writing assignments to me, even if it's typing, you need to practice capitalization and punctuation. Okay. Number one, we have a subject, my class. We'll go on a field trip to a museum next week. There's no capitalization and there's no punctuation, so we need to fix it. I changed the M to capital and I added a period. The same thing for number two. A museum is the subject. I changed the A to capital and I added a period. Now, as you can see, all of these sentences are similar. They're all connected. They're all kind of like they're in a story. So when we add a subject for number 3 and for number 5, it needs to make sense with the rest of the story. So number 3, can see all kinds of things used long ago is a fragment. It's not a complete sentence. So I added we. We can see all kinds of things used long ago, period. Number 4, wagons and buggies were once used for transportation. Now, you might not know what a wagon or a buggy is, but a wagon and a buggy is like what would be pulled behind a horse a long time ago. So you can see I made a mistake here. This is why you should always write in pencil, because when you write in pen, you can't fix it very easily. Okay, I switched 2 words. Make sure you capitalize wagons and you add a period for transportation. Okay, last sentence, there's no subject. It's a fragment. Had not been invented yet. Well, since number 4 talks about wagons and buggies, I added the subject cars had not been invented yet. Okay, so pause your video now, check your work, make sure your workbook looks like mine, And if you made mistakes, it's okay. This is just practicing together. Don't worry about it. Do your best. Okay. All right. Oh my goodness. I moved my feet and the table moved. There we go. Phew. Now what we're going to do, yes, is go to practice page 26. And you are going to read this very short story. Okay? Now I'm going to read it out loud and I want you to follow along carefully. Now, you should have 2 highlighters or 2 colored pencils. Make sure and copy my marks. So as I'm reading, little marks are going to show up on the page. You should copy them. It's okay if your color doesn't match mine. Here we go. Keith Little. That's the title. Sounds like a name. During World War II, I was a soldier and fought battles in the Marshall Islands and on Iwo Jima in the Pacific Ocean. Circle the word I. It's very important. Underline the first sentence. This is a very important sentence. During World War II, which was in 1945, I was a soldier and I fought battles in 2 places, the Marshall Islands and Iwo Jima in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, let's keep going. I was one of the Navajo code talkers. Circle the word I. The code talkers used the language of the Navajo people to send messages to the troops. Now, before I keep going, when we read the story Judy Baca, I told you that before people came to America, there were people called Native Americans. So before people immigrated and came from all these different countries to America, there was already Native people living in America called Native Americans. And these Navajo is capitalized because it's a type of Native American person. So it just means like a people group. So this person who's writing the story, I was one of the Navajo code talkers. The code talkers used the language of the Navajo people, the Native American people, to send messages to the troops. Now, the troops means groups of soldiers. The enemy didn't know this language and couldn't read our code. Our work helped the United States win many battles. After the war, I taught people about Navajo language and culture. Okay, make sure that you circled what I did and you underlined what I did. Pause your video if you need more time. Okay, let's answer these questions together. How do you know this text is an autobiography? Can you say autobiography? Good job. Let's remind ourselves that an autobiography is a kind of narrative fiction. It tells the true story of a person's life in order, and it's written by that person and uses the words I and me. So our story Room to Grow that we read on Monday is an autobiography. It's narrative nonfiction, it's true story, and it uses I and me. So the question asked, the question asked, how do you know this text is an autobiography? Well, let's go to our answer. This story is an autobiography because it's a true story and the person uses the words I and me. Now, the person in our story didn't use the word me, but they did use the word our, which includes yourself. When you say our, you're including you. So you can just go ahead and write I and me. All right, copy this answer now, please. Pause your video if you need a little time. Okay, I'm going to go on to number 2. If you're still writing, please pause your video now. Number 2, what text features does the text include? Well, a text feature is more than just the words. If it has a drawing or a map or something that helps you understand the story, and our story today had a map. So the complete sentence should be the text feature is a map of the Philippine Sea. So that's what I want you to write for number 2, that the text feature is a map, but not just any map, it's a map of the Philippine Sea. Okay, I'm going to go on to number 3. Please pause your video if you're still writing. What information does the map give you? Why is the map important? The map shows where the story takes place. So this person is telling us the story of where they were in the world, but unless we see a map, it's hard to make a picture in our head. It's hard to understand. The map helps us understand the setting of the story. Okay, please write this down now. Pause your video for more time. Okay, now it is your turn to write all by yourself. Please go to page 30 in your practice book, and let's look at this draft model. Use the questions that follow the draft to help you think about how you can add language to show the time and order of events. Sequence. Listen carefully. Draft model. I went camping with my dad. I helped my dad put up our tent. We built a fire. We roasted hot dogs and marshmallows. We put out the fire and went to sleep in our tent. Okay, it's a lot of information. It's not very interesting because they need to use sequence words. So I'm going to ask you some questions and I just want you to think about them. You don't have to write anything down yet. Number 1, when did the writer go camping? This is up for you to decide. You can say last week, you can say last summer. We know it's in the past because they used past tense words such as went, helped, built, roasted. So it has to be past tense. You can't say next week I went camping with my dad. Number 2, what did the writer do first? Number 3, what word or words that show order would tell when the writer roasted marshmallows? And finally, number 4, what words would help signal what the writer did last? So I want you to think carefully about these questions and think about, when did the writer go camping? Maybe last summer, last week. And carefully consider these questions before you add your details. When you are finished writing at the bottom of your page, come back here and let's compare answers. Pause your video to work, please. Okay, we have revised the draft by adding words that show time and order to help us learn more about the camping trip. This is my answer. This is what Mrs. Mathern wrote. Last summer, I went camping with my dad. First, I helped my dad put up our tent. Next, we built a fire. In the evening, we roasted hot dogs and marshmallows. Finally, we put out the fire and went to sleep in our tent. So at the beginning of each sentence, you should have added a sequence word and a comma. If you made a mistake, it's okay. Your story doesn't have to be just like mine, but it should be similar. Okay, make sure you did your best, check your work now, and let's go on and talk about homework. All right. So, as I have said earlier this week, you have a spelling and vocabulary quiz on Kahoot. I want you to do your best, but go on over to Kahoot now. It's very important that you do this so I can see how well you're understanding vocabulary and spelling. Now, should you have your vocabulary and spelling words in front of you when you take your test? No, that's cheating. Try to do your best without looking at your vocabulary and spelling words. Okay, number 2, make a sequence of events on practice page 22, but we're not going to use the practice story. We're going to use our story of Judy Baca. So in the Google Drive, you have the story of Judy Baca that you can click on and read it again. I've already read it to you one time, but I want you to read it again this weekend and make a sequence of events. I believe there's 4 for you to write in your practice workbook. So you're just going to use the practice workbook page so you don't have to print anything out. But instead of using the story in your practice workbook, I want you to use Judy Baca. Okay, I'm so proud of you, homeroom. You've done such a great job. You really are working very hard. I can't wait to see you. I'm so proud of you. Make sure you wash your hands this weekend. Keep practicing safety. And I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.